Well, Jim, speaking of where things are going on, let's talk about WWE Raw, which was an interesting program this week. Of course, we're getting closer and closer to WrestleMania. There are a lot of stories that need to be tied together, things that need to come to a conclusion. And
things that need to come to a head.
I'll tell you, watching this show, it hit me just how good this Bloodline storyline is. It held me through this show just to see what would happen at the end.
Yes, and especially because I think almost 2 hours in, we were at 10 minutes of actual wrestling on screen. So, and I mean, that's what it is. It's basically let me watch Raw for anything involving the Bloodline and their ancillary opponents and partners and etc. And then they just, break in every once in a while with a match involving some goof you don't really give a shit about. And they started this program. This was the Raw for March 20th. So we've only got 10, 11, 12 days, whatever. But they started with Kevin Owens coming out. And he got a pop, but then they transitioned to the Sammy music and the fans lose their shit. And for a long time, especially like in the Ring of Honor days, it was like Steen was the guy and Generico was the little buddy. And now the worms have turned. But I like that when they enter together and they get in the ring, I like it. These two raggedy looking fucking putzes that look like shit, but they've defied the odds and they've gotten over. They're the odd couple. Now, as a team, they can both look like shit, and it's the gimmick. They can work and talk, and they appeal to every fan in the audience. So, as an individual, Owens looks like complete shit to be the top guy, and Sammy is painfully thin, and they're unkempt in their appearance, but they can work and talk. And as a team, both of them together looking like shit, it works. It's the motif. Now I like it. Okay? It's the way you present things. They can both wisecrack, and they interplay with each other because they've been doing it for years, since before they got into business, when they were dreaming of getting into business, because they're friends. And that's the one thing Owen said: for 20 years, I've been your biggest fan. At this point, they need to shave a couple of years off of that, because I can see some people in the audience, younger people, going, how the fuck old are these fucking guys? It doesn't look like they should have been wrestlers for 20 years. Nevertheless, and then they start talking about getting together and WrestleMania, and then the Usos come out. And Jay's like, Sammy, you're a backstabber. Ain't nothing going to happen at WrestleMania, or Jimmy was, rather. But Owens gives the big challenge. Brothers versus brothers for the tag team title. What about it? Yeah, rah-rah. And Jimmy refuses, but Jay said, wait a minute. Okay, that's our chance to end this, fix our problem with you once and for all. So Jay agrees to it. And then as soon as he does, then they get in the big fight, and the Usos powder out. They're in the entranceway. They grab some chairs. Here come the referees and the agents, and suddenly on the screen, Roman Reigns' SUV pulls up, and Solo and Roman get out. Roman gets a huge pop getting out of his car on a big screen. And the fight stopped because, obviously,
Why
Brian,
did it
every
stop?
time you get in a street riot, whenever they show a picture on television of a movie star pulling up in their SUV, instantly the fight stops. But still, it's good. But this stuff is so good. So that's, again, now we've got the tag team title match. We talked about that on the show a couple of days ago. I said, well, maybe they could make it a grudge lights out match and not for the title, and put the baby faces over, but still leave somewhere to go. But it appears to me that unless strange things happen and one of the baby faces here ends up looking like a plate full of piss, that a lot of belts have to change hands.
I'll tell you, the Usos have really won me over on the mic. Their facial expressions, the way they move, you look at their face and you don't think this is a guy reading lines. These seem like guys really going through some sort of emotion out there.
Yeah.
Dealing with all this. They've been great. I thought Owens was good here. Just finally, they needed to get to that moment. Okay, let's settle it. Let's have the match. I was certain they would have gone like no DQ or something, because that's what this company. but they've got me to the point where I'm excited to see what this tag team match with the Usos against Zayn and Owens will be.
Well, and then there's still more strife or tension or whatever, as we will see in a second. Let's get the wrestling out of the way. Theory beat Montez Ford in about 4 minutes on camera, that is.
Any thoughts on Montez Ford watching him in this match?
No, because I didn't bother, because it was 2 minutes before the break and 2 minutes after the break with the fucking replay. And yes, Montez Ford, great high cross bodies, and he's incredibly athletic. And I love Theory to death. But this is, again, it's a match on Raw, which means that's time for everybody to go piss and get a fucking sandwich. So it was what it was. But then we come back to Roman and Paul with the Usos and Solo, and Roman's sitting, they're in their locker room. And there the Usos have just had their asses handed to them. And Roman says, well, it wasn't the best start to the night. Guys, okay? And Jimmy's like, I'm never going to forgive Sami Zayn, but we're going to settle this and blah, blah, blah.
To me, it was almost a swerve. Not a swerve, but they made you think he was laying into Roman when he, at the end, said it was about Sami.
I got you. Yeah, when he said, I'm sick and tired and fed up of being browbeaten and berated or whatever he said, and Roman started giving the little side eye, and he said, that no good Sami Zayn. Okay.
I have to answer for what I'm doing. I have to answer for my relationship with my brother. I'm sick of it. And you think he's going to say, I've had enough of Roman Reigns, which plays into the Cody promo later, actually. And instead, it's about Sami.
But it's also Jimmy saying that instead of Jay, when Jay was there. Say, there's so many ways they can go here. And that's when Roman kicks everybody out of the room except Jay, and Jay's sitting there all nervous. So they go to the break, and then they come back. And that's where Roman is telling Jay, so what? I haven't seen from you. I haven't seen you. I haven't heard from you. You leave us hanging. Now you're back making decisions. Are you bloodline? Are you part of my family? And that's where Jay says he is. Not a Sami Zayn pleading, yes, Roman, believe me, just I'm your family blood. I'm bloodline. And so Roman says, well, I hope so. That's all I needed to hear. I love you. And then Jay leaves and Paul slams in, just creeps in. Did you get your answers you were looking for, my tribal chief? And Roman says, yes, ominously. It sounded like when he was telling Jay he loved him, almost like one of those Marlon Brando and the Godfather, I love you type of things.
Hello, Carlo.
So which way are they going here?
This was so good. I got lost in it for a moment that it didn't bother me that the camera was right in front of them. That they went to a commercial break on Jay Uso twitching, as opposed to any we'll be right back after this. No, sit down. I want to talk to you. What's going to happen? They go to commercial. They come back. To all the conversation lately, and I think Heyman's even said something publicly about these guys winning an Emmy or something. It really was telling when they finished this and they went back to the arena, and it's Corey Graves and the light speaking man. I forget what his name is.
The light speaking man.
Oh, we're so happy to be here. Yeah, that guy. When they went back, it was almost like another world. When you heard the crowd and everything else, I hate to use the word, but the acting in this from all of these participants has been amongst the best in wrestling on TV ever.
Yeah. Say delivery.
The delivery. Well, we'll see. Roman Reigns is going to Hollywood, I think, but the delivery, yeah.
And then we went back to reality and almost beat Muhammad Ali with 2 double hand shoves and a choke slam.
Are you now really pumped up for Omos versus Brock?
Oh boy, I'm interested to see what's going to happen. I'll put it that way.
I shouldn't say anything.
What?
I said it a while back that I thought they were reuniting Lashley with the Hurt Business. And now that Lashley has no match with Bray Wyatt, at least we don't believe that's going to happen at this point, they kind of left it where the last time these guys wrestled and Lesnar got the better of most of those matches, Lesnar hit him in the balls to win the match, to lose the match. He didn't have to face Bray, who challenged the winner. But now that match isn't going to happen. Lashley's going nowhere right now. You can't do too much with Omos. I could see this turning into a Hurt Business reunion to kick the shit out of Lesnar at Mania.
Well, that would be probably better than what may happen if it doesn't happen. How's that sound?
I don't know, actually. Good or bad? One or the other?
I don't know. Figure it out. It's a double negative. The horribleness and awfulness of it will never be forgotten. Did you watch any of this Logan Paul fiasco?
I did because I like him. In my world, he's the babyface. And this thing with him and Seth Rollins, who not only sounds like the nanny, this week he was dressed like the nanny.
Wow.
Just coming, do your laundry. I don't even know what the nanny says. I never watched that show.
Do your laundry.
Take your lunch to school. I don't know what goes on that show, but I can't stand Rollins. I like Logan Paul a lot. I like the replay of that punch. It was a great punch. And then I'll let you cover it, but when Seth Rollins almost dove onto his head, and I'm like, oh my God, and I had to rewind it. I was watching live. I had to rewind it just to see how he landed. And then he gets up and gets knocked out again. I like that. I did like that.
Well, and the part was that what they were trying with that was that it would look in some way like Seth was diving off trying to get to Logan Paul.
He was nowhere near him.
But he and Logan Paul had exited stage left like 10 seconds beforehand, so it looked like Seth just tried to dive completely over the two producers that were standing there to catch him. But nevertheless, Logan Paul gets in the ring for an interview, and I'm like you. I like the fucking guy because he's such a arrogant, obnoxious, dickish, heelish personality.
He's great.
And he does the promo and said he loves the WWE, but the fans don't love him. They're never going to respect him, but I don't care. And because before, I think didn't we hear he wanted to be a babyface?
Well, I think they wanted him to be a babyface. Maybe a better way of saying it.
However, no, the wrestling fans were not going to make him a babyface because he's a celebrity crossing over into wrestling. They resent that. But now that he's embracing his heel self, he healed and bragged and put himself over, and he's glib, and he's got that heelish personality. But anyway, that's where I've made note that he was doing a hell of a job with the promo and even making the whats work for him. It wasn't just throwing him all off, because these people were a whatting crowd. They even whatted Roman, for fuck's sake.
That's the worst thing that Steve Austin ever did to the wrestling business.
Yeah. Boy, I'll tell you what. But the knockout they played over and over with Seth with the clown face and the sound effects and everything, that was funny. And I'm just thinking, this I'm really liking this. And then his microphone goes out. And then the other mic goes out. And then you see the video of Seth Franklin Rollins in the video truck, looking like Stevie Wonder at the keyboard with the sunglasses and his weird get-up. And he's obviously fucking with the production, and then plays his music and dances and gyrates his way to the ring. And then he just leg dives Logan Paul, and they try to roll out and get stuck under the ropes. And then here come the referees and agents, and they go over the announce desk, and that's when Seth does the big dive where Logan Paul was already way gone. And Seth goes over, I can't remember which agents it was, but they're trying to catch him. He went over and almost landed on his fucking head. And then jumped up, turned around, and picked a bale of fucking knuckles. And I liked Logan Paul knocking him out with one punch again, but honestly, the Charlotte and Ria Ripley fight Friday night was better as far as a pull apart, don't you think?
That was a better pull apart. Again, I like the spectacle, and things did go awry. Like you said, Logan Paul was clearly supposed to be somewhere near where Seth Rollins jumped to. Instead, he just head or shoulder first went onto some other generic people just so Logan Paul could run in there. And what a punch. It looks great. Who throws a better looking punch than that right now?
Yeah. And give the devil his due. Seth Franklin is doing a heck of a job of selling him right down on his mush.
But again, to me, It's such a horrible gimmick, if you can call it that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the gimmick is. People like singing that song more than I think they like anything he has to say.
Oh, yeah, I'm at the point now where I'm just zipping through the promos because, like you said,
you know, like you want to be there for Leonard Bernstein conducting. You don't necessarily want to hear him sing. And when he's out there conducting the fans doing whoa, and that's the secret to any wrestling success nowadays. They like that, but as soon as they get, no one wants that. No one.
But besides that, Leonard Bernstein, if he, took a few practice swings at it, could probably belt out a pretty decent tune. But I just don't know. Maybe they should have some type of backstory explanation where Seth was exposed to gamma radiation or, the subject of a chemical experiment gone wrong or whatever, and that turned him into Seth Franklin Rollins. Just some explanation.
People said I had no personality, so now there's synthetic personality pouring out of everywhere. Awful. Terrible.
Hey, that's synthetic personality. You can get that at Valvoline also. All right, so Johnny Sameface wrestled Dominik Mysterio. They went 2 minutes to the break, and they came back and went 3 minutes, and Dominik won with a splash off the top. And then we got back to the wrestling. So Paul Heyman is in the back.
Well, hold on. Did you listen to Dominik's promo?
No, I didn't.
I got a kick out of this promo. Again,
what'd he say?
They're making him out to be a putz, but in such a good way. Like all the stuff about him being in prison and the things he learned in prison. Like all of these things. But here, and a couple of my kids were here watching this with me. It was about how his family disrespected him. They took him out of the group chat, which to me was one of the funniest fucking lines ever. Because most families, I would think, if you're all on smartphones, there may be a group chat so everyone could keep up with what everyone else is doing.
Okay, see, all this would have gone right past me anyway.
The idea that his mom and sister and dad took him out of the family group chat and he's upset about it.
Well, how dare they?
That killed me. And then he turned to he turned to Damian and he goes, but our group chat is better. And Damian nodded his head. I did get a kick out of that. I like Dominik in this role. And I'm glad they didn't put Gargano over. Maybe the experiment's over. Maybe they realize this is not Bryan Danielson or any of the other guys that weren't giant-sized wrestlers that somehow got over on their ability. This is a different guy, and I don't think he's taking.
That was, to be honest, a sliver ray of hope in this. But I'm more interested now in the group chat. How come I'm not in your group chat?
Because you don't have a smartphone.
Well, but now I feel bad, too. Like you've never asked me to get a smartphone so I would be in your group chat.
Would you like
You've never made an effort to put me in that.
I would love to have you in the group chat. Would you like to be in the group chat?
Fuck no. I'm not getting a goddamn smartphone. I just wanted you to ask me.
Well, Raw rolls on.
So, Paul was in the back and tells the Usos and Solo, take the night off and go to the plane and eat the seafood. We got the shrimp. We got the mahi-mahi. He never mentions the scallops. Why do the scallops not get mentioned?
Well, the mahi-mahi was a nice thing to add here this week.
I'm a scallop fan. But anyway, he says that, Solo, stay. Roman wants to talk to you. So the Usos go eat the mahi-mahi and Solo stays.
But they all give each other a look like, what's this? Our other brother, yes. He's supposed to stay, but we're supposed to leave? What's going on?
So you never know what's going on.
It just constantly builds and you never know what's going to happen. I'm telling you, I've become such a mark for this Bloodline stuff. I realize it going through this show. Like, is this the formula that could work going forward? Find one really, really, really good thing. Make sure it stays good. Make sure it stays interesting. Make sure no one can completely predict what's going to happen. And the rest of the show could be fluff.
Well, fuck, that's easy. All right, so speaking of fluff, so now Edge is doing the spooky candlelit promos. And remember when I always said I like Edge, he's well-spoken and he delivers it with feeling and etc. And you said, he was just acting. Well, you were right. This was a horror movie scene. I mean, It was long on acting and short on real, like I really just want to beat you up. I mean, he's trying to make himself like the second coming of Hannibal Lecter if you push him too far. And I've been baptized in the cell by the dead man himself, my cathedral of pain. Well, when you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fear no evil. I'm the evil in the valley of death. I mean, it was like a goddamn audition for a fucking Hammer film, was it not?
I don't want to go too long on this because I really said everything I had to say about it last week when I saw the other promo, which was in the ring. So it was a different feeling and setting it altogether, but it was the same kind of speech to me. I like wrestling promos. I don't like wrestling speeches. This just didn't seem like this. I didn't like this. I don't know what I could say. I just don't like this kind of stuff. And he keeps doing these kind of promos. He's another one of these guys that got into acting after wrestling. And maybe it's hard to shake that. I don't know, but I don't like this. I don't think this resonates well.
Well, anyway, but we switched from taped talking to live talking. Ria Ripley in the ring for a promo. And at this point, I noticed it's an hour and 50 minutes into the program. There's been 10 minutes of actual on-screen wrestling. And as much as I like Rhea, now they've got the lighting effect they use for her. She's in the ring, and it's almost like she's giving a dramatic reading in a theater in the round setting. And I love her, but I couldn't really get into this. And at that point, here comes Bayley and Kai and Sky, and they come out. And I'm like, what? Okay, they're other heels. Now, I know that Rhea's getting popular, but she's still technically a heel because she's in the heel group and she's facing Charlotte, who is technically a babyface, even though she's a more natural heel. But now the other heel girls are mad at Rhea. They go to the break and they come back, and obviously they have a match going with Ria Ripley and Bayley. And boy, we talked about we have to give some of the Anna Jay and Britt Baker advice to Rhea and Bayley, although they took most of the advice. They didn't click here, but at least they wouldn't just go blunder blindly through it. They would stop for a second and recharge their batteries and get on the same page and go again. There was a time Rhea wheels Bayley buckle to buckle, boom, and she's going to charge, and obviously Bayley is going to boost her up over the top for a spot, but Rhea charges and Bayley doesn't boost, and Rhea just has to just run into her. And there was another spot where Rhea's coming off the ropes with speed after doing something, is going to do something, but Bayley doesn't move. She just lays there, and Rhea just, I'll kick you. But they would grab something and they'd get back in the right place and they'd do it again, but this didn't flow. It didn't click. And after about 4 minutes or so, then here comes Becky and Trish and Lita with a music entrance in the middle of the match, and that was the break spot. Well, we've got a subpar girls match going on, so we're going to bring more girls to ringside. And stay with us. And they came back, and finally the girls on the floor all got in a fight, and Rhea Ripley hit her finish. Boom, there you go. And then can we move on through the rest of the wrestling that got in the way so we can get back to our Bloodline promo?
I'll just say I'm a big fan of Rhea Ripley. I think Ria Ripley and Bianca Belair are almost like two perfect female wrestlers. I think they're so good. This promo went way too long. I don't know why they did this with Bayley right now. I thought this didn't make Bayley in the ring look very good. But I like Rhea Ripley. I think if you want her to be a bigger star, you shouldn't have her come out there and do speeches like everyone else.
Well, no, and this match I can kind of excuse them for because they would have thought, and I would have thought, that it would be good. But it didn't work. Maybe they just haven't worked a lot together. I don't know. Nevertheless, then Ricochet wrestled Shoosh Boy And Oscar and Bianca wrestled Chelsea and Piper. Not Roddy, but Niven.
I watched a little bit of that tag match, and I didn't think I would just because I wasn't too interested in seeing Niven and Chelsea Green. And I haven't liked Asuka with her new gimmick, with whatever the new gimmick is. But Bianca pulled me into this. She's so athletic. Just the way she jumped over the top rope to come in there. She did the power move to Piper Niven.
Now, wait a minute. You're starting to sound like some of those Rihoites there.
Bianca Belair is a big athlete. I'm not starting to sound like a Rihoite. Bianca Belair is really, really good.
Well, I'm not saying she's not good, but you're sounding like such praise. Oh, the way she jumps. Look at her jump.
She jumped from the apron over the top rope into the ring better than most male wrestlers.
She jumped all the way over the top rope, and look at her legs.
Oh,
they go all the way to the ground.
Will you stop it? Come on. You know I'm being fair and telling the truth. A Rihoite. Get out of here.
A Rihoite. All right. Nevertheless, the moment we've been waiting for, and we still had to wait for a little bit of it, at 10:45 Eastern Time, the Bloodline entrance begins. 10:45, Roman, Paul, and Solo, here they come. At 10:49, Roman Reigns asks for the microphone. At 10:50, he asks St. Louis to acknowledge him. And then immediately Cody's music hits, and he does his entrance and gets his chance. And at 10:52, he spoke his first word. So they literally had entrances the same length as the goddamn segment that took place after the entrances, which I was just found tickling to me. But nevertheless, it takes a while to get it in the ring. But once they got there, this was, again, fucking brilliant. And I don't know now that if Roman Reigns may not have been the best promo in this set. Cody did great, but Roman was exceptional. And from the time that Cody asked, he said, well, you've been saying you got a Cody problem. What do you mean by a Cody problem? And Paul starts to say something, and Cody's like, I'm not talking to you. But Roman told him, you're not the problem. It's what you represent. And, I'm a fighter. I'm in God mode, right? You're just a pro wrestler. And look at your track record. You ran away from Stardust. You ran away and started a company that you couldn't get over in and then ran away from that. How many times would in previous eras would a line like that even been able to make WWE television?
Not too many.
But they know now that I think Triple H knows. Vince probably wouldn't go for it, but Triple H knows they've got an overall smaller audience than they ever have, and most of the people that still follow wrestling know what the fuck's happening. But anyway, and he says, then you come here and you get over and your body quit on you. Your pec went pop. And, April 3rd, you're going to have to get up and look in the mirror and you're going to run like a little bitch. And then Cody admitted that he did run away. And what he did was make it where 100% of the locker room could make more money. I think he's a little touchy there. But anyway.
But you know what part of the problem is for that one specific thing? And I don't think it's a fair line. Obviously, it's a line here in a promo. You ran away to start that other company and you couldn't get over there. And he said, well, I did that and 100% of the locker room makes more money. There aren't too many defenses for that in a promo. Like, what else is he going to say quickly?
He goes, well, but goddamn, I'm back and 10 pounds heavier. But nevertheless, he said, maybe he just is a pro wrestler, but nobody needs to bring my dad up again because at WrestleMania, you're going to see me. And then he fired up at him and cut a promo on April 2nd at WrestleMania, and on April 3rd, Roman, you're going to wake up without those titles, and then Jay and Jimmy will leave you, and Solo, and then Paul, and then you're going to be a Roman with no more reigns and a chief without a tribe, and he just told him off, and Roman stands there, and then just dropped the microphone and started walking out, and Paul goes with him, And then Solo and Cody face off because Cody's trash talking Solo. But Roman and Paul get halfway down the aisle and turn around. What's he doing? And they pull fucking Solo out. Well, Solo goes to fucking blister Cody, and Cody kicks him in the face. And
Cody goads him into doing something. Yeah,
Cody goads him. And then when he goes to do something, Cody gives him the boot. And as Solo's going to swing back, there Roman has got him, and he fucking stops him and calls him out. So now Solo's going into business for himself. But the last, that last promo segment, that did a great job, again, like all this stuff has, of selling this issue. And now we got all the principals together. Sammy and Owens against the Usos, Cody against Roman. What will Solo do? You know, they've done a brilliant job on this, and both these guys could talk. But Roman was great here.
Roman's promos are good. Sometimes for me, it gets a little bit too much into, and then I'm going to smash it like that.
Yeah.
But I liked it here. But to me, the best thing about this with Roman was what he didn't say. When Cody would say something and Roman would start selling it in his face like you believed him. You know, the confidence was going away. When he said, your family's going to abandon you and you know it. It's going to happen to Jay and it's going to be Jimmy and eventually it'll be Solo and eventually Heyman will be for hire again.
Yeah.
Watching Roman's face drop.
He'll be a rent boy again.
Well, I didn't say that. But watching...
sale, rent, whatever.
Watching Roman's face drop and then react to it. Again, the reactions were good. Both guys did incredibly strong promos. Cody's been doing the best work of his entire career in the last few months since the Royal Rumble. They've made me interested in Solo. The way Solo reacted here, how he was ready to do something. Remember, the Usos are his brothers. So he ties into all of that too.
Yeah.
There is still so much up in the air, and that doesn't bother me. I'm looking forward. They've earned my trust with this program that I'm looking forward to how it's going to play out.
Well, there you go. So that was Raw.